Well, hence how I again your friendly local constitutional coop out here in California. And at the request of my longtime good trusted friend Joe, this is going to be a video about the digital currency. You've heard a lot about that lately. And they're trying to put that into effect here, which, as you'll learn, I don't think they can do it in our nation and republic if we have that left. But as a sample of what's going on, is in Australia now, they're on the verge of being ordered to become a cashless society, and you have to use their digital currency, which they can track every damn thing you do, what you have, where you are. It doesn't work. It was never designed to work, certainly not here. And a little tip off about this in Australia is that they were created in 1588 as a penal colony, and apparently not a whole hell of a lot has changed in the last 440 years. You know, if they can do that and the city of London thinks they can do that there, there's no question about it. Those people have no rights and they never have had any of them. Compare that to the nation, the United States and the federated republican form of government of defined and limited powers that we have. And you'll learn more about that. Send me an email, youwinnincourt@gmail.com. And it says right in Article 1, Section 10, no state shall make anything but gold or silver coin a tender in payment of debt. Article 185 says Congress shall have the power to define the dollar. They did that in the Coinage Act of 1792, and that's the reference point. There it is. You know, they can't make it up out of thin air. Even the New York bankers can't do that. And it works wonders. Just a little illustration from one of my earlier cases when I got arrested Memorial Day weekend 20 years ago. And I had to post bail because if I didn't, I knew my job was going to fire me. And they did that 5 years later anyway. So I get out, go through the process, get convicted. What else is new? Show up later at the office of the clerk of court with my friend and some rolls of silver quarters in hand. And I placed them on the counter and I said, how many of them will it take to pay the fine? She got all upset, went back in the back room for 20 or 30 minutes, came back, said, we can take them at days. Silver coins. I'm ready for her. I said, fine, sign this paper, which she did. It's exactly what she said. And I fired it off to the local dumbass here, demanding to be prosecuted for a willful failure to pay a fine. Over 20 years later, I am still waiting. That's how strong this issue is, and it strongly suggests that that Constitution does remain in full force and effect, despite the fact that no official actors today want you to have any clue about that. For more information, send me an email, youwinnincourt@gmail.com. But that's the big issue. And just a second quickie here, I got a jaywalking ticket nearby where I am domiciled. By the way, I don't reside in California. I'm domiciled in the state judicial district, and you should be where you are too. So we go to court, and we end up before the traffic commissioner, who's seen me a lot of times, beat the hell out of him in traffic cases, and he sends me right across the street to the real court, which isn't one either. And I got a judge that happened to be a pretty decent one for a change. And we go through the whole process, and I said, well, I can't participate here because if I do that, I'm going to actively give you jurisdiction and venue, which I have no intention of doing. So I get convicted, and he looks at the record, and he comes back and says, well, the fines and fees and all that are going to run like $95 or $100, whatever. And without missing a beat, I said, fine. Define dollar within the meaning of Section 6850 of the California Government Code. And without skipping another beat, I said, and that goes back to the Political Code of 1852, reenacted verbatim. And at that time, the definition of dollar was in the Coinage Act of 1792. 15 years later, I'm still waiting to get a bill from that case because they can't define dollar. And this applies, especially in mortgage cases, foreclosures, evictions for different reasons. By the way, what you'll learn is that no state courts has any jurisdiction over contracts, dealing with Federal Reserve notes. And you're going to love to learn about why. So send me an email, youwinnincourt@gmail.com. And that last part is the U.S. Supreme Court saying it, not me. I don't make this stuff up. That's how good it is, and we want to keep this Republican form of government not only for our own benefit, but for our children, our posterity, and to let other nations know you have the power to do the same thing that we're doing here. It'll be a little more difficult where you are, no question about it, especially in an African or Asian nation. But it can be done if the people stand up and unite together and say, this is what we want, like we did in 1776. And we took care of business. As far as I can tell, that Constitution is not only still there, it's in full force and effect. We have sovereign, independent states. The justices on the Supreme Court right now know everything I've been talking about here. And they've been in their fourth term now, by the way, all out assault on an administrative state, long overdue, sounding more and more exactly like me in the process. That's good news for all of us. They haven't gone as fast as I like, no question about that, but they're going the right direction. And I think I've made some connections with them unofficially, which, if true, and there's evidence to support it, and you'll learn all about that, send me an email, youwinnincourt@gmail.com. They're on our side, and starting with the next term, commencing in October of 2024, and basically after the election, once they're assured that they get two younger Republicans on there when Thomas and Alito retire, now they're going to be there the next 12 to 15 years. And we can really expect them to come out with a lot of cases decided in our favor on our creator endowed and alienable rights secured by all 6 articles of the Constitution. That's the great news for all of us. I'm convinced they want to do that. And yes, I read between the lines a bit with the U.S. Supreme Court, but over the course of the decades of my work, I've gotten real damn good at doing that. And it's good news for all of us. It's a lot of bargaining leverage for you to get your cases thrown out of the trial court, aka administrative tribunal, and go on down the road. And if not, what we do is you use my material to set unopposed records in those administrative tribunals. And remember, the other side has the burden of proof on jurisdiction and venue. And for example, with my updated bill of particulars, if they're going to treat us all, which they do, and as you'll learn, as jus soli, foreign state subordinate corporate dead entities who have no rights, the de facto national government is bound to respect, then we're demanding with the bill of particulars and in other documents that you'll get to produce a certified copy of our death certificate. They can't do it, can they? We're real live, just sanguineous state citizens or inhabitants of states, and we do have creator endowed and alienable rights that nobody in those quote unquote state governments can violate. See you later. That's the 4 magic words. Consent of the governed, not due process of law. Forget about that BS. It hasn't worked. It's never going to work. Only the extremely rare case that they have to make it look good on the record, and that's so rare. The George Floyd case stands out, although that Derek Chauvin should have been convicted of first-degree murder and already hit the execution chamber by at common law. But that said, send me an email, youwinnincourt@gmail.com. You'll learn a lot more about what I'm doing and why. You're going to love all of it because it benefits us, our families, and our posterity. And that's the goal that I started out with all those years ago, to get to that point. And now we have an unprecedented window of opportunity to be able to do it. It's really exciting. So that said, send me an email, youwinnincourt@gmail.com. Subscribe, like the videos, get the word out. The more of us that unite across the board, and I'm talking about blacks and Asians and everybody, because we all have rights in the system that we want to get back. It benefits all of us. Once we do that, the jig is up, so to speak, and we get rid of all these official actors and state bar association attorneys. Well, I don't want to run on too much here, but in any case, remember to subscribe, like the videos, tell your friends, get the word out. We can do this. Thank you.